very warm welcome, Deiric, and over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Guy. Thank you, Dr. Peter. Thanks, Rick. And thank you all for the opportunity to chat to you today. Let me, without further ado, just dive straight in. So I work for Genos International. We are one of the, according to trainingindustry.com, one of the top 20 assessment companies in the world over the last 4 or 5 years. We are very, very tied into coaching in general, so that all of our programs are approved by the ICF. We're a global ICF partner, etc. Our general business is emotional intelligence, which is really helping people to show up to one another in a way that works and connects. And we'll see a little bit more of that as we go on today. So that's the wonderful me. So here's why we're here. We're here talking about a topic that for folks like you as coaches in the era that we're living in right now, the hopefully post-COVID era is what we're moving into, please God. This is going to be one of the most important topics over the next couple of years. It has been a critical topic over the last several years, but even more so you'll see as we emerge out of COVID. Now, there is a shed load of research that talks about the efficacy and the usefulness of psychological safety. One of the most high-profile studies was something called Project Aristotle, done by Google, where they set out to try and find out what makes for the perfect team, the most productive, the most coherent, the most successful teams. And they went with the usual sort of theories that you'll all be familiar with, the idea that if you mix a different balance of skills and personalities and so on and so forth, you can balance out this wonderful team. And they found, no, what we conventionally think makes the perfect team doesn't actually predict it terribly well. They found 5 factors were important. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on them, but the 5 factors, if you've done any study at all on leadership, on teams, etc., you won't be surprised. They include impact, the sense for people that what they're doing is important, because we all need to feel that what we're doing is going to create a positive impact in the world, and that we're doing work that's really meaningful to us, that in some way meets us where we are from a values and a personal mission point of view. We all like certainty. Our brains are not wired for uncertainty. So we love structure, clarity on rules, clarity on the role, clarity on the goals we have to produce. And then we thrive in an environment where we can depend on the people around us. But the single most important predictor of team success, according to this and many other studies out there, and at a level which is actually higher than all 4 of these put together, is psychological safety. So team success is predicted better by psychological safety than absolutely anything else. And that's why over the next couple of years, as we emerge out of COVID, if you're coaching in corporate environments, you're going to need to pay attention to psychological safety, because people have never felt more psychologically unsafe than they feel at this point in time, for a whole variety of factors, some of which are to do with COVID. Now, as we go through the session, I'm going to pop up some slides that have a poll on them. Let me tell you what happens when you put this in front of audiences. Doesn't matter where it is in the world. Almost all of these, here we have them now, all of them are actually experiences that people in this group have had. And in many cases, you've had lots of them. You know, we've all sat in situations where we know the answer to something and we're thinking, will I answer? Will I speak up? Will I say I don't like that, etc.? And you hold back because you're just nervous that you might either suffer a reputational hit, or you might upset somebody, or somebody might come after you or whatever. But these are really, really common experiences. So for those of you who are responding, I'm going to change the poll now in a minute, and I want you to tell me, when you had these experiences, what are the first 3 words to come into your mind for how they made you feel? How they made you feel. So when you had these experiences, how did they make you feel? Okay, so insecure, there we go. Small, frustrated, uncomfortable, anxious, uncomfortable again, getting bigger and bigger, stupid, irrelevant, disappointed, weird, angry, small, vengeful. And you see all these words. And I think it's safe to say for people like us who work in a world where we talk about the impact of emotions, that these are not pleasant emotions. I am not seeing a single one up there that is that you could even at a stretch describe as being a pleasant emotion. And we experience this all the time through our lives, from the moment that we enter into early stage of school to the moment that we pass out and we retire from the work world. And and we have all had these experiences. Okay, what you were doing in those situations, what you were invited to do in those situations where you had an opinion or where you should have spoken up against something that you didn't agree with, was you were taking interpersonal risks.